Warsaw is an excellent destination to visit if you want to see a city that has been reborn multiple times, rising from the ashes like the phoenix. It has been ravaged and invaded several times over the years by forces from Sweden to France to Russia. During World War II, it was heavily damaged by German bombing. Today, however, Warsaw is a dynamic, new metropolis that has been largely restored to its pre-World War II state. Human impact is more difficult to repair, and Warsaw boasts museums and monuments that provide unvarnished memories of one of Europe's worst periods. However, there are also echoes of the glory of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in the early modern period, when Warsaw was the capital of Europe's largest empire. Take the royal route to see it, which passes through royal properties such as Lazienki Park, a little world of palaces and pavilions in the heart of the city. Let's take a look at some of Warsaw's top attractions. Number 1. Old Town. When you go on a walking tour of a historic city center, you're usually looking for authentic, unaltered architecture and landmarks. However, following Warsaw's experiences in the 20th century, the beauty of this quarter lies in the meticulous and accurate reconstruction completed until 1962. The Old Town's revival, after over 9/10 of the city had been destroyed, was an astonishing effort that has won it UNESCO's World Heritage status. You'd never guess that this was all merely a mound of rubbish 70 years ago as you wind your way through alleys and tunnels, past guild halls, churches, and burgher homes. Cannon Square, a triangular square surrounded by tenements that previously housed canons of the Warsaw chapter, and St. John's Archcathedral, which holds the burial of Stanislaw II Augustus, Poland's last king, are two sites not to miss. 2. Lazienki Park. The Royal Route's anchor, Warsaw's largest park, is a favorite weekend vacation for couples and families. The park began as the Royal Baths, as Lazienki's literal meaning is baths, and was expanded in the 18th century as part of King Stanislaw II Augustus' Great Plan. There are palaces, pavilions, 2 orangeries, an amphitheater, a planetarium, follies, promenades, water features, and national monuments on these 76 green hectares. A whole day could be spent hopping from one villa to the next, marveling at the opulent Lazienki Palace, pottering around 4 museums, or simply relaxing in the greenery. The monument to composer Frédéric Chopin, conceived in 1907 in the Art Nouveau style but delayed by the First World War and built in 1926, is perhaps the most prestigious of the monuments. 3. Old Town Marketplace. This area was the epicenter of Warsaw's commercial life until the end of the 18th century, when Stanislaw Augustus' new town was built. It is the most historic area of the Old Town, with tall Renaissance and Baroque merchants' homes in a rainbow of colors around it. Because the plaza was attacked by the Luftwaffe and subsequently destroyed by the Germans at the end of the Warsaw Uprising in 1944, all of these structures are post-war reproductions of what came before. The square was restored exactly as it had been before the war, including the strange yet lovely vertical additions that crown some of the houses. The mermaid statue on the central fountain has special significance for Warsaw, and in the summer you can park at a cafe table and watch the city go about its business. 4. Royal Castle. The 90-meter front of the Manorist and Baroque castle, which has served as the seat of the Polish rulers for centuries, greets visitors at the southern edge to the Old Town. The castle has survived 2 demolitions, one by the Swedes in the mid-17th century and the other by the Germans during the Second World War. The castle has been a museum since the 1980s, and visitors can see the apartments of King Sigismund II Augustus of the 16th century and visit the House of Parliament, the birthplace of Polish democracy, where amendments to the Polish-Lithuanian Constitution ushered in unprecedented religious tolerance. There's also a collection of paintings by masters including Rembrandt, Van Dyck, Jules Van Cleef, and Gainsborough from the 16th to 18th centuries. 5. Castle Square. The square near the castle became the foundation of the biggest empire in Renaissance Europe when Poland's capital moved from Krakow to Warsaw in 1596. Sigismund III Vasa, who is honored by a bronze statue on an 8.5-meter pillar, was the man who made the transfer. This structure was built in 1644, but it was toppled by the Germans in 1944, and the original red marble was replaced with granite. By the castle walls, there are still remnants of the marble column. A brutal riot during the period of martial law in 1982, a Russian massacre during an insurrection in 1861, and a speech by Bill Clinton welcoming Poland into NATO in 1997 were all incidents that shocked Poland. In the summer, there's always something going on at Castle Square, whether it's a demonstration or a concert. 6. Palace of Culture and Science. Whatever your feelings about this massive structure, it is nearly always visible in Warsaw. The Palace of Culture and Science is Poland's highest structure at 237 meters, with 4 theaters, a multi-screen cinema, 2 museums, the 3,000-seater Congress Hall, government offices, academic institutions, and private firms located on its 42 floors. This massive Stalinist structure, which draws inspiration from Art Deco skyscrapers and Polish historicism, was a present from the Soviet Union to the people of Poland in 1955, which is just one of the reasons it elicits conflicting emotions. If an international event is being held in Warsaw, it is likely to take place at the Congress Hall, which also is an observation terrace on the 30th floor that is open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the best views of the city. 7. Nowy Swiat Street. This 1-kilometer artery, which is also part of the Royal Route, runs south from Krakowskie to 3 Crosses Square. The aristocratic class first utilized Nowy Swiat Street in the 16th century to get to their holdings in the countryside south of the Old Town. Wealthier and elite Warsaw people constructed houses along the street as the city progressed. By the time Napoleon came along, these half-timbered houses had been transformed into beautiful neoclassical mansions and villas. During the day, the boulevard is lined with cafes, market boutiques, and foreign businesses such as Sephora. And at night, it is lined with international night spots. 8. St. Anne's Church. St. Anne's Church on Krakowskie, founded in 1454, is one of the city's oldest landmarks. The church had to be renovated 4 times in the 17th century before acquiring its current neoclassical front in 1788. Under a large pediment, statues of the 4 evangelists are placed in niches between the columns and pilasters. The interior retains its earlier theatrical Baroque architecture, with stunning frescoes on the barrel ceiling and a nave framed by Corinthian pilasters with golden capitals. St. Anne's also hosts regular organ recitals that are well worth attending. St. Anne's Church features a separate bell tower that offers another viewpoint of the city. This tower, which is situated on the outskirts of the Old Town and features regal Baroque architecture, may even be better than the Palace of Culture and Science. You will be rewarded with a bird's-eye view of the Castle Square, the Old Town to the north, and Krakowskie to the south if you can face the 147 steps. 9. Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. A monument to nameless warriors who died fighting for Poland is at Piłsudski Square, Warsaw's largest square. The body of a soldier who died in the Battle of Lemberg between Poland and the West Ukrainian People's Republic in 1919 is entombed in this tomb, which dates from 1925. The burial is housed in a monument made up of 3 arches from the arcade of the Saxon Palace, which was raised after the Warsaw Uprising. The tomb and everlasting flame are guarded by the Polish Armed Forces Representative Honor Guard Battalion under the central arch. The guard is replaced at the stroke of each hour, 365 days a year. Every 15 August, rituals honoring the Polish Armed Forces are held at the monument and square. 10. Royal Route. Almost all of Warsaw's historic landmarks are located on a single axis that begins at Castle Square and runs for about 15 kilometers before reaching at Wilanow Palace. Churches, parks, palaces, academic institutions, and opulent homes all line the street. The Royal Castle at the top, Lazienki Palace in its gorgeous eponymous park, and Wilanow Palace at the southern terminal are the 3 homes that give the route its royal name. All 3 are very necessary, resonating with the riches and power of the Renaissance and Baroque Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.